Students train here at Redwood Hall, and what they learn on the mat, like discipline, patience, and respect, they can take into the classroom and beyond. Since the shift in power, there is hope in Lakerland that the past few years of mediocrity are coming to an end. The South Carolina women's basketball team beat Mississippi State 67-55 last Sunday for the Women's National Championship. Russell Westbrook was chasing history on Sunday, looking to become the first player in NBA history to get 42 triple-doubles in a single season.
Do you think it's possibly closed-minded of people to make the connection between patriotism and football? It seems a lot of the reason people are mad is because, in a way, in their view, he's disrespecting the country by kneeling. Is that a fair juxtaposition to make between patriotism and football?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a martial art focused on grappling and submissions. The objective is to submit and make your opponent quit through a number of chokeholds and arm and leg locks. Club Vice President Robert Zaragoza says there's a lot more to learn than just submissions.
One of the main things we learn out here in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is respect. Respect to others. There's a lot of discipline. A lot of people come here to get in shape.
Participants spend at least 1 hour in each class free rolling. Free rolling is when jiu-jitsu players go all out trying to submit and defeat each other. Similar to school, every day in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a challenge. Club member Aaron Estrada says you'll get out just as much as you put in.
If you step onto the mat, you put in the work, you eat right, you train day in, day out, then you're going to get your hand raised because you put in the work. You can't get cheated out of that. You know what I mean? Just like with school, if you study hard, if you do everything you're supposed to do, you read the text, you do the extra work, you're going to get the grade.
Jiu-Jitsu is obviously a very physical sport. Club president Daniel Goking thinks jiu-jitsu is not only a fun hobby, but a way to make new friends.
I love the fact that doing all this, even though it's definitely very close contact, you get to know people.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not only great exercise, but teaches people self-defense.
You feel confident, you feel more at ease. You feel more like you could take the world on. Not necessarily like you're going to look for a fight, but like you learn to fight so you don't have to fight.
Students train here at Redwood Hall, and what they learn on the mat, like discipline, patience, and respect, they can take into the classroom and beyond. In Northridge, Jordan Williams for Valley View News. After Dustin Johnson pulled out of this year's Masters, it was anyone's guess as to who would take home the green jacket. It was only the second time in the tournament's history that the world number one would not be playing. We go straight to the 18th green on the final Sunday. Justin Rose with a chance to put a lot of pressure on Garcia, but he misses the birdie putt, leaving the door open for Garcia to win the Masters and his first major victory, but Garcia misses the putt too. Putt did not break as Garcia thought it would. Now we're going to do it all over again. Back to the 18th, sudden death, Justin Rose tee shot. He's looking right, and it's going right. The tee shot would end up in the trees and leave Justin Rose with a tough second shot, and he would go on to bogey the hole. Garcia now with two chances to win the Masters, but he's only going to need one. He sinks the birdie putt to win his first green jacket. It was Sergio Garcia's first major victory in 19 years as a professional. In 2 months' time, Garcia will look to become the 7th golfer in history to win the U.S. Open and the Masters in the same year. Baseball's opening day began with some fireworks. We start in St. Louis, where the Cardinals were hosting the Cubs in the 9th inning up 3-0, and Cubs catcher Wilson Contreras goes deep to tie the game at 3. Don't celebrate too soon, though. The Cardinals loaded the bases with Matt Carpenter at the plate, and he's going to find the sweet spot of the bat in left center to walk it off for the host Cardinals. Now to Arizona, where the Diamondbacks were hosting the Giants, and Madison Bumgarner takes the 2-0 pitch deep to left field for his second homer of the day, giving the Giants a 1-run lead in the 7th. Now to the 9th, tied 5-5 with Chris Owings at the plate, and he's going to hit a blooper to right field to walk it off for the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers opened their season with a 14-3 win over the Padres. The Dodgers are currently in an away series with the Colorado Rockies.
You made a good point about players in their communities. Do you think it's okay for the audience, the fans, to expect players to have a response? Like if something's going on in their community, are those players not a representative of that community in that city they're playing? Or do you think that's kind of too much as well?
It's a matter of choice.
The Lakers were looking to make it 4 in a row against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Race favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. was all smiles before the race, but unfortunately for him, that smile quickly turned to a frown as he crashed after 104 clean laps. For the second time in 3 years, the Los Angeles Kings will not be in the playoffs. Despite this winning streak, the Lakers will finish as one of the bottom teams in the NBA, which is a good thing for their draft position. The 49ers could potentially receive a proven talent to help kickstart the rebuilding process in return for the draft pick, and he believes some teams will try to move up in the draft.
Can I stop you right there? You talk about respect and support. This one is for you, Reverend. Is that something we're not seeing for the players that are protesting? Support from owners or general managers, or even white athletes that may have more of a public stage?
Well, you have to understand that it's not a fight for the owners.
And Metta World Peace misses it, but the Lakers will get a second opportunity. Randall passes to Russell, Mr. Ice in his veins, and sinks the game winner. Currently, the Lakers have a 46.9% chance of keeping their draft pick, but won't know until the lottery takes place. And that's all for our Lakers season wrap-up. I'm Jordan Williams.
And I'm Eric Sklar.
The Kings fired head coach Daryl Sutter and general manager Dean Lombardi on Monday following the Kings' final game of the season.
Do these issues ever come up in a locker room, other like police brutality, or are you guys solely focused on the game?
I think that's the misconception of athletes in general.
It was a battle between world number 4 and 5 in men's tennis at this year's Miami Open final. Griffin finished with 43 points. The last play of the game, Hornets had a chance to take the lead, but Kemba Walker turned the ball over, and the Clippers went on to win the game. New San Francisco 49ers general manager John Lynch is open to discussing a trade for the second overall pick in this upcoming draft.
And Jason, you played at kind of a very high level at UCLA. Did you ever feel like you were a role model? Did you feel like there were a lot of eyes on you when you were playing?
I mean,
If you had that pressure or anything?
Sutter and Lombardi helped to win 2 Stanley Cups with the Kings in 2012 and 2014, the Kings' only championships in franchise history. CSUN softball won 4 of its 5 in the Libby Mason Classic last weekend in Stockton. Later in the first period, under 20 seconds, the Coyotes on the 5-4 power play get the goal to go.
We're actually 5 days away from the 48-year anniversary of the Mexico City Olympic Black Power Salute by U.S. track and field medalists Tommy Smith and John Carlos. We're almost 50 years from that, and then they were heavily criticized. They even received death threats. Now, 50 years later, Colin Kaepernick has said he's received death threats. This one's for you, Reverend Walker. Are we seeing a change, or is sports perhaps maybe not the way to go about protesting if we're still seeing these death threats 50 years later?
Doing it in the venue that they did as athletes raises the level of conversation more than anything that we could do individually.
That's all for sports. Now back to you.